Hola, family. Listen, so about old people, we're going to talk about that. I don't care how early I get on here to get this set up, it wants to act like shenanigans when it's time to go live. Like it all of a sudden says sharing pause. And I'm like, who paused it? Okay, Jesus, this tested my patience. So I'm going to need this self care we about to talk about tonight because it's been set up since 7:30 and it still wants to act a fool. But hey, y'all, anyway, hey, girl, hey, hi, y'all. I hope everybody is having an amazing midweek hump day, whatever you want to call it. I hope that everybody's week so far has been wonderful. Huge shout out to Sheenan with these background sessions we got going on with this Winedown Wednesday logo. Y'all know we was in here trying to work this out too, because again, I'm old and stuff be happening. But it looks amazing. Thank you, Sheena. Again, this was the new design that she did for us for this season of Winedown Wednesday, and we absolutely love it. For the rest of the hosts that are joining, if you want to know how to get this background up, do not ask me. Email Rachel or Angie or somebody, anybody other than me, and they'll help you get your background set up because I don't know how to do it. They walked me through it. So, welcome to Wind Down Wednesday. I am your host, Missy. I always forget to change that from Melissa because only people that want money from me call me Melissa. So, I really do prefer to go by Missy. And I am joined in the room by familiar faces. We have Rachel, we have Michelle, we have Sheen. I see Denise, Shelly, Dawn, Angie. And we have a couple that are hiding out in the background that are joining us. So we say welcome. Just so you know, only those that are live on the broadcast are shown. So if we have anyone that wants to listen but not necessarily participate, and you don't have Facebook, or you know somebody that doesn't have Facebook that wants to listen, they can, because they can actually be in the room without being seen on camera. So and I know y'all hear the doorbell. I purposefully do the chime because I like to know when people come into the room. And sometimes when we're not live, we share very personal things and we talk about things in a safe space. And this enables us to know who's coming in and out of the room and to be able to accept people. So if you hear the dinging, it's just so that we know who's coming in and out of the room during the conversation. So, hey, Nick, I see Nick joined us in the room. As always, the comments are being watched. Someone in the room is watching the comments so that we can bring your comment to the forefront, so that if you want to send a message, you can. But if you do want to join us in the room, if you go to www.handsofmelody.com, which is our website, and you go to our events calendar, the link for Wind Down Wednesday is in there, and you can be admitted to the room. As a way of heads up, if you do want to join us in the room, if you can let us know in the chat so that we know to expect you, and Angie or someone else can let me know that you are coming into the room. So again, there's no hate speech. We say that all the time. There's no hate speech here. We can agree to disagree. What works at your house might not work at my house. And this is just an attempt for us to give you some other ideas for some of you that feel like I want to do things differently, or I'm at my wits end. Some of us have things like teenagers in the house, and sometimes we just tired, like dog tired. And so in this group, we find out what other people do to unwind. One of the things that we are going to talk about tonight is mom shaming and mom guilt. That is a pet peeve of ours, the mom shaming part. I'm sorry, what you did with your kids might not work with my kids, right? So just because I choose to leave mine with a babysitter and go to the spa or go away for a weekend, and you chose not to, and you want to stay home with your babies and not let them out of your sight until they went away to school, that's okay. If that works for you, that works for you. But me personally, mother needs a break, right? I love my babies. I miss them when they're gone, and I love them when they come back, but I don't mind missing them for a little bit. Like, it's okay. And because I leave them with safe people and people that I trust, it's okay for me to leave them. So if you want to do things on your own sometimes, and somebody's telling you what you should or should not do, or you give your kids stuff with high fructose sugar and dye number 5. Maybe that's not allowed in somebody else's house, but over here we like dye number 5, right? We like the blue dye and we like the yellow dye and the sugar that's going to make them jump off the steps and then crash and fall out and have a tantrum because they tired. We approve of all of that in the house. You go get a vegetable if I can get it in you, but I'm not going to stress myself out trying to make sure I read everything that's on the label because they're still alive. But in your house, maybe nutrition wise, that's what you have to do. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And I want to ask the ladies if there's a particular time or a particular thing that was said to you in this mother journey that you were felt like you were being mom shamed, or if you were like being hit with the mom guilt. And I want to talk about what that looked like. Anybody? Because I know we all get it. We all get it. No.
I have I like have worked in my workout routine for myself, and in the beginning I felt bad about it, and I heard like other people's comments, or if I asked like, hey, I want to go work out after work, like, do you think you can keep my son? And and again, and really, didn't you go already? But once I realize like it's literally making me better for my child, like I'm not grumpy, because there's been times where I've skipped the workout and I'm just like, it's Thursday, why am I so pissed off? Oh yeah, because normally by Tuesday or Wednesday I would have had at least an hour to myself in the gym or wherever. And I really realized there is a difference. Like, I'm not being selfish, this really is like for my health, and I have friends and I have adult people to talk to, and like the car ride there by myself, listening to my own music and factoring all that in, I really was like, I'm better for it. So unless you're going to tell me no, I'm going to accept your groans and accept your babysitting, ness, and I will just throw the rest of it behind me because I need this time to myself.
Yeah, that part, right? I get that. It does when you need or want that mental break. And not everybody wants it, right? Not, there are people that like I have a sister-in-law that homeschools all 3 of hers, and they vary from my oldest nephew is 18 and their daughter is 14, and then they have a son that's 10. And she'll tell you their entire life is homeschooling, then baseball, then this, then that, then and all of this. And I'm like, aren't you like, they've been married 20 years? And she says, well, we never really had a honeymoon. And I'm like, Mama, don't you? She's like, no, it's okay. So for her, I'm like, more power to you, girl. Like, go get it, right? But me, not so much. So I don't yuck her yum. And if that's what works for them, that's what, works for them. So I definitely get it. It makes me a happier person
I
when.
remember on a smaller, like not self-care side, I guess, when I was looking for daycares, I was talking to a coworker about it who also has a young child. And I was explaining like I need a daycare close to my house because I'm not gonna do a 30-minute drive with a kid in the car, home and back. I want to drop them off first and have the rest of the ride to myself. And they were like, why? I didn't understand. And I was like, because I'm not trying to answer questions the whole ride, or I'm not trying to listen to Baby Shark the whole ride. Like, I'm not, that is like, first of all, it's not safe because I'm literally getting pissed off. I turn around and, Mommy, look at this, look at this. Like, it's a really horrible ride for me. And she was like, well, welcome to motherhood. I don't know what to tell you. And I'm like, well, no, I can find a daycare that's closer to my home. And she was like, well, he just watches a video on like the DVD player for the car. We have a car DVD player. And I was like, oh, so that works for you. I'm not going to let them watch 30 minutes of a show on the way there and back. So we just have two different thoughts on that. But I did originally feel bad. I was like, am I like wrong for not wanting to have that painful of a drive like 2 times a day? No, I could just find one closer to home.
Yeah. Have any of you thought that you wouldn't be like that parent and then you looked up and you were that parent that you said you weren't going to be?
I didn't think I would be that parent that after a while I'd be like, can I just put a muzzle on your mouth for like just 10 minutes? I love my kid to all eternity, but it's just like, I guess maybe it's the age that he's in now. It's like every 2 seconds, every sentence starts with mommy, mommy, mommy. And it's at the crack of dawn and it's on the drive to school. And to Nikki's point, I do have the almost 30-minute drive. So I feel it the whole way. And it's like, yes, I know. Okay, yes, I know. And to them, it's like, it's the work, so that for me, it's like, I didn't realize I was going to be that mom that's like, nah, just be quiet. Just be quiet. It's like, okay.
I get it. I get it. That video thing, Nick, listen, I wasn't that parent either, but now, God help us all. Like, we had to go to pick out a new stove, which meant, there's a process. You don't just walk into a store and be like, give me that stove and then like get it. No, it was we had to look, then we had to go through, it was a whole mess. And I knew that that's what we were doing. I put those tablets in those backpacks. And when we got to that store, I set them right in a seat. I took those headphones out. I gave them those tablets. I looked up at one point, they were laid out on the floor like this, kicking their feet, watching their tablets. I didn't even care. I was like, get off the floor. I was like, you quiet. Oh, okay. And it took us about an hour. They watched the whole movie, but they were quiet. They stopped to say, I got to go potty. I took them to the bathroom, came back. But I was like, I didn't really think I would be that mom. But you know what? I'm that mom, and I'm really okay with myself about being that mom. So you do, and you change. You really do. You change, and what worked, even with older children, like when you get to younger children, the same things weren't available with those older children. Because if I look back now, all of them probably would have had a tablet with light up headphones, and they'd have probably been somewhere so I could have had 30 minutes. But now that it is available, it's like saying, now they have remote controls, but I'm not going to use it. I'm going to still get the big box TV and I'm going to get up and keep turning the channel. No, I'm not. I'm going to sit there with the remote in my hand and I'm not going to move. So you do change, and it's okay to change, and it's okay to parent each child differently because they're not the same children anyway. So
You just like you aren't the same person. I think as you get older, you realize like some of them things I did with that first one, it's not that serious. Like I didn't break them. So you're a little more lenient. And a lot of the older ones will say, oh, I didn't get away with that, or they're spoiled, or whatever the case. But you learn over time and you mature, you change too. So, but
Yeah, it
yeah,
has to work
I've
for
heard
you.
several friends with the TV. My child's not gonna have a TV in the room, and my kid was the first kid. So I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't say nothing about it. I just said, oh, okay. And then when the time came and I'm like, didn't even say nothing back to them. But in my head, I was like, nah, I know she said that she wasn't going to do blah, blah, blah.
I remember when
And
my
you know what
cousin,
I'll be honest about? Like
honestly, here we go.
electronics. That to me was a game changer that I was not expecting. Because before I had my child, I swear every mother that I knew would guilt me with their statements of, don't be one of those moms that's having the iPad raise their child. I know we've all heard that statement before, and it's like, as he's getting older, I'm like, I'm carrying you in my carrier. I'm putting you on the table. I'm putting you next to me. You're on my foot, when he's getting older and crawling and walking, you're attached to me every second. I'm like, what am I going to do? And eventually, slowly but surely, it went from you can use my phone to, wait, I need my phone. You're about to jack up the stuff on my phone. How about you get my iPad? Wait, that's too big. How about you get the little? And I'm like, wait a second. And now the people that were guilting me with their speeches are now like, oh, did you pack his iPad when I drop him off at there? Like, oh, what about that? Because it's like, it's different. Whatever you had when your child was younger and whatever shows they were watching way back then, it's different now. I'm not going to kill myself because of a stigma that's out there. Yes, I'm going to police what he watches, even on YouTube Kids. I'm blocking hella shows because it's just shenanigans and kids just doing whatever. But then it's like, okay, you get to watch, you know, extra things and enjoy yourself. And then the rest of the time, it's like, okay, enjoy yourself. I get 5, 6 minutes. I'm cooking dinner. I'm cleaning the house. I'm just sitting there playing on my phone because I just need a minute.
Yeah, you do.
So-
And we take it out when we go out now. If we're going out to dinner with other people, they sit at the table, they have conversations, they talk and are a part of the conversation. But then at some point, the adults want to continue the conversation. And I'm sorry, your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-year-old is bored out of their mind. They don't want to hear about your day, who you like, who you don't like, who got on your nerves, why the waiter's moving slow. Like they don't want to hear all of that stuff. And it's okay if you say, you know what, we're going to take a break and we're just going to give you this while we finish this conversation, and then, or while we have a glass of wine with dinner, and then we're going home. And again, if that's not your life, your story, your testimony, that's okay. Like it, but for those of us that choose that route, hey, I mean, and you could take that back to like breastfeeding. How many people had opinions about you breastfeeding? Breastfeeding in public, breastfeeding in your house with company, and you should go in another room or cover. Like all of those things, like why you need it. What do you mean you got to take a break and go and pump and not in the bathroom? I'm gonna throw that out there. Please don't ever pump your baby's milk in the bathroom because you don't eat in the bathroom. Don't pump their milk in the bathroom. So all of that. So even now, I saw a mom and she had the wearable pumps. We were walking through Target, and I told my husband, I said, she has on the wearable pumps because some of them you could see, and she was walking just as proud. She was, and I was like, go girl, walk, shop, pump, do all the stuff you got to do. Whereas before, some of us, like, it's shameful. It's like, and then people got, girl, cover that up. Why you just gotcha? No, I'm sorry. That comes from being ashamed of your body and how somebody else feels about your body or their own body. Right. So any woman that's ever breastfed should never give another woman that's breastfeeding a side eye because you see that she's breastfeeding. Right. There's never a time you should come to my house and I'm nursing and I should have to get a cloth and throw it over my shoulder. I'm sorry. I'll nurse. Y'all all go stand outside because that's just not what we're doing. So I think sometimes we mom shame or we do the guilt trip thing without even realizing. And if you catch yourself doing, check yourself. And if you check yourself, apologize, because I'm sure the mom who already might be feeling sort of kind of self-conscious probably caught that look too before you caught yourself. So it's okay to say, you know what? I wish I could have done that when I nursed mine. Like I wish I had the freedom to not feel so ashamed of my body and to be open. But just because again you weren't, don't make the next person feel like they should feel a certain way because they do it. It's everything from the diapers you buy to the clothes you put on your kids to the school they go to. People are always going to have an opinion on everything. And I'm old now, so I'm quick to say mind your business. But in my 20s, I wasn't. And I cared about what people thought. Like I literally cared about every opinion that somebody gave me, especially if it was coming from like a mom or a grandma, and we are the worst. I'm just gonna go ahead and throw that out there for all of y'all that don't want to admit it. We can be the worst on our own children because they are making decisions that we didn't make for them. But the truth is, most of it was because we didn't have the education or the support to do it. But Free the Tatas Committee, we all over at home. And we say, come on over here and nurse your baby, wherever you want to nurse your baby, however you want to nurse your baby, because a fed baby is a happy baby. And maybe that baby don't need a tablet because they milk drunk. I'm just throwing that out there. So anybody else feel like their mom? Go ahead, Denise.
So, in my attempts to make sure every mom, especially breastfeeding moms, feel comfortable. I've actually had doula clients that were uncomfortable whipping out a breast and breastfeeding. And I have been comfortable enough to say, look, you don't have to be embarrassed. You want me to take mines out and I'll sit here with mines just hanging out here. And yet, wait, you see mine, I see yours, and we're all good. You don't have to be embarrassed.
Love it. Listen,
Love
that's the best.
I love that. And you know
I
what?
love it.
I do. And you know, like being a first time mom and breastfeeding, it was like you had to, like, I was comfortable with myself, but just to do that in public and in front of people, it was like awkward. And I remember I was like running errands and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to pump. I was literally in my car at the light, sticking my pump in, turning it on, and I just happened to look over and people was like looking at me and I was like, I gotta do what I gotta do. Like I was walking through Target, the grocery store, and my pump that I got, it wasn't like a neighboring pump. It just found something I got off of Amazon that I needed. Something real quick for, and you could hear it. Like you could hear the buzzing of the pump. And so people looking at me and I'm like, okay, I'm a mom. Like, you know what it is. Like women, you know what this is. So
I think I told you guys about when, I think someone was talking about the breast gel. So I got some because I was overproduced. It just was like trauma. So I had this gel on and I was in a grocery store, like Walmart, and you know how like in the frozen sections, the yogurts are at the bottom. So like I'm bent over looking for yogurt and like I'm like, what? And you know, I hear like water splash on the floor. I'm like, what the heck? And I look down and it's milk. And I'm like, how do I feel so bad. You know, when you spill something in the store, you want to let somebody know, like, hey, but I'm like, I don't want to tell them my breast milk just fell in
the dairy aisle. In the dairy aisle.
So that's how I made peace with leaving it, because I was like, yeah, they're probably just gonna think it's dairy. But I'm like, so now I'm wet, and I'm like, well, I still have to pay for the stuff. Like, so I'm like, shirt's all wet, I'm paying for my stuff. But a family member of ours just had a baby, and they came to visit from California. We had like a big thing because it was everyone's first time meeting the baby, and he's at the age where he's eating like every hour. And I was talking to my son's dad, and I just was like, you know what? I remember that. And I was like, that was really lonely because you keep leaving to go nurse or to go pump. And it's like 20, 30-minute increments at a time. Or if you are comfortable enough to nurse in front of people, which was my situation, like nurse pump, I didn't care. I would like throw a thing over me. People left. People would leave the room. Like I would be mid-conversation or something. They're like, okay, well, I'll just give you a minute. And I'm like, listen, like, why are you leaving me? And I really remember being so lonely because I had to constantly be away for such a long time. And you felt like you're missing out on like so much. That I feel like that was part of me, like part of my journey in getting back to being myself, because I was like, okay, like I don't think this is a huge change or this is really different, but everyone's treating me like I'm this new person, I'm this different person. They want to give me privacy, they wanted this, they wanted that, and I'm like, I'm chilling, guys.
They don't know
Not
how.
including the middle of the night pumps when you're the only one up and everybody's sleeping. And you're like, okay.
What one of the moms say? She wanted to reach over and smack her husband, talking about your worthless nipples. You just over here sleep snoring, and I'm the only one sitting up. And you know what, Nick? I hadn't thought about that. That is another thing to consider, that those moms, especially those cluster feeding moms in that stage, and to have to keep being by yourself. Sometimes you don't even want to go to things because then you got to be at other people's house and ask, well, can I use your bedroom, or you go in their bathroom because you want to, like, you got to put your pumps on and all of that. It does. It makes you feel almost like shameful when you're doing what we all know is the best thing for your baby, and then for anybody to make it anything different than that. That's because it's been a long time since anybody's doing these things, but it's dust, but I'm just saying.
And even when you're pumping, like everyone wants to be helpful and take the baby. And you're like, damn, I can't even sit here with my kid. Like, I want to sit, I want to cuddle them. Or if they do stay around you, you're watching somebody else cuddle your baby, play with your baby, and you just like hooked up, just watching. Like, that shit really used to suck.
The Dairy Queen. Feel like the Dairy Queen. You do.
Yeah.
Wow, that's and it's not, you said that watching other people hold your baby, that's a real feeling, right? You carried this baby 9, 10 months. Some people, if you go 40 weeks, that is not 9 months, that is 10. Don't let anybody tell you, stop believing the hype. That is 10 months. So if you carry this baby for 40 to 42 weeks, nobody has touched this baby, nobody has held this baby, and then all of a sudden you give birth and everybody's like, let me see, gimme, 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 gimme. And they're not even tending to you. And then you feel
And
bad.
when he poops, they hand him right back.
They
to
give
you.
them right back. But then as soon as you change him, come here, you smell so
He's
good.
crying. Here you
Right.
go. He don't need me. He need a bottle. Here, get to work.
Feel all the feels. No, you can't hold my baby.
Right. I was selfish. I was selfish with I stayed in my bedroom.
You can't hold my baby.
Room with my I was like, nope. They'd come up. You okay? You need anything? No, we good. Like, you bring me some water. You can do this, but no, you're not just about to sit here and hold my child. If anybody gonna sit here and hold my child, it's gonna be me. Like,
my daughter-in-law would put them in the wrap, and then she got the little signs off of Amazon saying, please don't touch, and she would clip it to the Moby, and she don't ask to hold, she would not let you hold my grandson. She was like, no, absolutely not. And you knew not to act. The only person that was like making her hold her was my son, and she even gave him side eye. Like, he was like, let me hold can I hold him for a minute? Like, it's a real thing. And you should be okay saying no. I'm sorry. You ain't helped carry this thing when my sciatic nerve wouldn't let me get out the bed. When that round ligament pain was the devil, when all them contractions was hitting and it was a real thing. That was just me. So I should have the right to say, okay, somebody else while I eat, or somebody else while I shower. Now, what I will tell y'all is let somebody else help you. Right? Because that's helpful. Like, I love you to pieces, but take a shower for goodness sakes. Wash your butt and let somebody else watch the little person while you do even the smallest things. Get a nap, because sleep deprivation will make you feel like you are losing your mind. Like, you can think that you have a whole mental health issue when all it is sleep deprivation. And Lindsay was on here a couple seasons ago and she talked about that. Like, no, I need a nap. Like, when you really realize that, and I know you want to look at them and they are gorgeous and they smell so good, but you need a nap, ma'am. You need a couple of hours sleep. You need to eat, because if not, you won't fall out. That baby gonna take what that baby needs and don't leave you with nothing. Ask your edges. Your edges don't care. That baby don't care. You ain't got no protein and all of this is gonna be gone. They don't care. But eat. You got to nourish yourself. Get some eggs in you if you like eggs, or oatmeal, something to nourish your body. And then yes, take your baby back, right? Eat, take a shower, pee, all of that stuff, and then come back, sit down, hold your baby. Keep your baby on the dairy makers, as Nick, keep them up here so you keep making that good milk. But no, you don't have to just randomly give them away to everybody that wants to hold them. That shouldn't be a thing. And it's not a thing. Anybody else? What we doing for
that was
a
tad bit of a reverse in my situation, because it's all of y'all know that I had to exclusively pump. So I felt, and it wasn't like nobody was shaming me for it, but it was the opposite for me. I was always connected to the pump. So I barely held Rory when she was an infant, because I couldn't hold her and have because I had the Spectra. I didn't have like wearable wasn't my life. I had the Jones that stick out like this. So it was impossible to hold your child. So even having that desire and shaming yourself, like, dang, is this breast milk that important where I can't hold my child? Like, it was literally like where y'all seeing the babies cluster feeding. I was cluster pumping. So whereas whenever she ate, I had to pump because I knew you're gonna need another bottle in about an hour. So I'm gonna have to get this milk up off me. So I mean, I'm grateful and thankful for my husband because we like tag team. I will pump and he will feed her, but at the same time, it was like I couldn't even burp her after he fed her because before you know it, I got attached back to the pump to get the next bottle because I was just enough for I wasn't an overproducer. I had just enough for her. So even that part of it, and sometimes, and I talked about this last week or the week before, sometimes I look back on my breastfeeding journey and I think about what I could have done different. Like if I would have tried a little bit harder, maybe I would have had actually nursed her instead of exclusively pumped. Then I wouldn't feel like that void. Like I look back at pictures and I'm like, not in any of the pictures that I see him holding her or her laying down. Or it's like because I didn't hold her a lot when she was a baby. So that's still something I'm kind of like, I can honestly say I'm kind of still working through, I guess. But that's the real feeling, to not have that memory because I was so focused that my baby was gonna have breast milk. It was like, for me, it was like, you either gonna buy formula or you gonna buy diapers. I'm not doing cloth diapers, so we buying the diapers and we gonna have this breast milk. So it was just the choice that I made, and I wish I would have held her more, or could have held her more, and not been attached to the pump like I was. But yeah,
I think we all have one thing like that we look back and we say we woulda, shoulda, coulda differently. But to the moms that we we actually all are, we are amazing, right? We are making the best choice in that moment that we know how to make. And retrospectively, we're looking back to see how to help some of these moms, right? Because you even said you were like, if I knew the amount of support I could have had, I would have probably chosen to keep her at the breast longer. And that goes to the village that you have, right? If your desire is to nurse and you feel like you want to give up for any other reason than you're not making enough milk to feed your baby, give them what you got and then supplement it. But you got to have people around you when your nipples are sore, when they bleeding, when they trying to go through that whole callus phase because you have not had this to do before. You got to have somebody that's going to be like, nope, you got it. Nope, you can do it. Do this. If you got to do this today, do this today, but you're going to do this tomorrow. If you don't have people in your corner like that for every decision that you make, then you don't need those people in your corner, right? I think we had one of our moms, and I think it's one of y'all that was going to do the cloth diapers, and we were all like, "Woo, girl, go on, like you got it, like do it. If you're gonna do it, you're gonna do it." We talked about diaper services, all of that kind of stuff. But for the rest of us, that mom life wasn't about, like Angie said, it was cloth diapers or it was like it was either or. But you gotta have people that say, if that's your we're gonna find all the things, we're gonna get the resources, we're gonna find the names of companies in your area, we're gonna back you up. But then when you change your mind, okay, so what we doing now? Like what are we doing? So you have to have people around you that are not gonna guilt you for your choices.
Right.
Unless they are harmful choices, there's to be supportive choices, even if we don't agree. They should be supported choices. And then when you change your mind, it's like that epidural labor. I really don't want it. I really don't want it. At some point, when you change your mind and you really do want it, that good support person is going to make sure that's your new decision and that you're not making a rash decision out of in this moment, right? So I'm like, okay, so we said we're not doing this, but let's talk about that because I also don't want you to hit this point, right? I need you to stay right here. So making sure that you're not doing things too out of guilt. Rachel?
Oh no, the only thing I was gonna say to that too is don't feel guilty if society's expectation of the way things should be, especially in the fourth trimester, is not your reality. So, because I think, and you guys know how I was talking about fourth trimester, and that's where a lot of the postpartum depression and all that stuff comes in, because you're fed all these things of like, oh, my child latched immediately and I'm a super pumper. And I snapped the snapback one, I think is the number one, like, with celebrities and whoever else, your child is eating well and sleeping well and all these things. And then your child is going through their journey the way they need to go through their journey. Like, don't have that, impact you and make you feel guilty and put the pressures on yourself and all that kind of stuff. Because I went through that. So I think we say it a lot of give yourself grace, and that's where a lot of that guilt can come into play of like, wait, it's me, I'm not doing it right. And I can't seem to get it. This other mom did it and she's fine, especially when you see snippets of 5-10 seconds of people's lives on social media. You don't know how many times the kid has been crying and they just managed to latch on at this 50th try. And that's what they take a video of and post it on social. So so just be mindful of that piece and be gracious with yourself. So
Underproducer, overproducer, it doesn't matter as long as you produce it, right? Because we can
Yep.
always supplement, but
Yep.
a lot of times you're not underproducing. It's you need some help with understanding what a bottle. I could take that bottle and I can hold that bottle up and it says 2/4 and it goes all the way up to 9 ounces, and I can see if this is a full bottle, now it's an empty bottle. My breast, there are no measurements to see that your breasts are, giving that baby that same amount. And it can be disheartening because you go back to the doctors and they say, oh, baby lost 3 ounces. 3 ounces. Oh my God, my baby's like, that's not even a thing, especially when they're transitioning, they're growing, their brains are firing, they're using all of this milk and they're becoming more active. They go from just being completely still to moving around more, which means they burning energy. Like, there's a level of what's safe and unsafe. And I think if we take the time to find out from the pediatrician or lactation consultant, should that weight look like, right? Because we heard a lot in our group, failure to thrive, failure to thrive, failure to thrive. The twins stayed the same weight within 4 ounces for an entire year. Now, mind you, in that year, they learned how to walk up and down the steps. They learned how to climb over every barrier we put in the house. They learned how to climb up and try to climb over the stove. Like, they learned all of these different things, and they're moving like this from the time they get up. So as fast as we were trying to put it on, which they were horrible eaters, even at that, yogurt was our life, unless they was at Dawn's house, but that's a different story. But yogurt was our life. But as long as they ate something, and then as soon as the doctor said something about failure to thrive, and I really started looking at those numbers and where they fell on that chart, and they were still within the 30, 35, 40 percentile on that chart. I'm like, are they really failing to thrive? Because when you look up failure to thrive, there's a big gap in what's normal and what's not normal. So I think sometimes when we don't know to ask specifics, ask for numbers, like, okay, so this is the bottom, this is the top, maybe they're not way up here, maybe they somewhere down in here, but they still on that chart, they still meeting their milestones, they doing all of this stuff. We should be okay with that. I think other people's words get in here, our other children that we should compare them to, our other group mamas. We got chunky monks down to the teeny tinies, and everybody want their baby to be a chunky monk, but maybe yours is a skinny mini. Maybe they tall and they skinny, and maybe some are short and stocky and they're all in between, but you ain't this big. Or some of us 6'8", and your kids at 7 look like they 12. Well, I'm sorry, what is that? Like, is that wrong? Because they're so you got to know and educate yourself so that you don't turn on Facebook and see, oh my God, look at all this breast milk I made. But she ain't say it took you 8 months to make all that breast milk. She showed it like she did all this last week. And so her babies is getting all of this good milk, and you going, this 2 ounces that I just pump. Like you got to know what's expected of you, and if you don't, reach out and ask somebody that you trust, that's non-judgmental, right? That's not going to be your amen corner, but it's also not going to be overly harsh on you, so that you can get the information that you need to get. So breastfeeding is a big one. Self-care is a big one. Go get your feet done. Go get your nails done. Get your hair
Let
done.
me say this. Let me say
Oh.
Go
this.
ahead. Go on, Angie.
Get you a village and go to the spa.
Whoop.
I popped my spa cherry this year thanks to these ladies on this Zoom, and it was well worth
was
it. And I
great.
cannot wait until
The
April.
19th. Oh, we're not going till April. I thought we said. Oh, I'm ditching.
March.
Never mind.
March.
April?
It's March. Okay, I know it's somewhere like
Now, wait,
that.
so don't push us back to April, March.
Right. I
Yes.
was gonna say also too, sometimes you gotta consider the source of who is guilting you and whatever it is they're talking about. Sometimes you just gotta think, like, especially if it's those older grandmothers, or if it's one of them friends who barely got their own kid. Like you gotta consider the
That's
source.
true.
I was
sometimes.
gonna say that when Rachel was talking about, like, just being careful comparing what you see
Mhm.
on the internet and stuff like that. This is not a complete thought, so like excuse me while I think through this. But I was thinking, like, for me, being on the younger side, like I wasn't that young, but I was like 24, about to be 25 when I had my kid, and everything I heard was like horror stories because it is coming from older generations. Older parents are just telling me, like, don't have a kid, wait till this, wait till that, like your life's gonna be over, like all this stuff, it's gonna be stressful, it's gonna be horrible. Or my friends who did have kids already did have them on the younger side. So that was really stressful. So for me, the first few years of having my son, I really kind of struggled with self-care because I just was like, this sucks and it just has to suck. Like everyone told me it was gonna suck. This is just how it is. Like not having enjoyable moments, not getting any sleep, like being tied to the pump, not having any money, like all of the stuff that I was experiencing. I never reached out for help. I never like talked to anyone about it because I was like, this is what everyone told me to expect. You're gonna have this kid and everything's gonna be horrible. And it took me a while to finally like talk to someone about it because I'm like, I've always wanted to be a mom, like, but I'm not enjoying this. And this is really hard. And I didn't want to tell anyone because it was like, oh, you're young, like we told you not to do it anyway, whatever. So I felt like I didn't have a safe space to talk about it. And then once I like got mom stuff like in my feed, right, in the algorithms, like I actually started looking at mom posts and whatnot, then I got to see the other side of it, like the joyous side, the side that depresses some people because you're comparing and like, why am I not having these experiences with my kid? But to me, it like made me hopeful, like, oh, I can have good experiences with my kid. I can try new foods with my kid and try and get them to eat this and do that. I can take them with me to the spa, or not the spa, but the nail salon, or go on a lunch date with just me and my 2-year-old together. We'll go to a coffee shop together. I started seeing that and I was like, oh, I don't have to sit in the house all the time and be isolated and like be broke and all this stuff. So I had the opposite experience once I started seeing more moms just being out with their kids and like enjoying it.
Well, how about we encourage each other? Because and so I was super young. I was 16, and so clearly I wasn't ready. So know yourself, like, right? So I wouldn't recommend anybody have a baby at 16. I'm also not going to downgrade anybody that has a baby at 16 because regardless, you are now a mom. I'm sorry, there's a baby in your womb. And the last thing you need to hear from me is more negativity because everybody in your circle is giving you negativity. And that's not going to build you up. It's not going to make you a better mom. And it's going to make you feel probably even worse than you feel about yourself. Now we got to get life skills. We got to talk about some things. We got to encourage you and tell you how to move from here to there. So, but just because your life wasn't great with your littles, don't yuck somebody else's yum, right? How about you pick that younger person up and say, listen, I know it can be rough because I was there. But speaking from this side of it, how about you take your son out on a date? Like y'all go to the park and hang out, or go to the coffee shop, or go to a movie. Like find ways to make motherhood enjoyable for somebody instead of jumping on the bandwagon that they already on and feeling like life is hard or life is horrible. Like give them suggestions on how to make it better so they don't have to live through the same negativity that you lived through when you went through the negative stuff. Because motherhood, for as much, Lord, as these babies drive me crazy, and as much as I want to put a book bag, I mean a stick with the little scarf tied up with a can opener and a can and send them towards Dawn's house like at least 3 times a day, I would not trade it. When they just walk up to you, and I have a thing about like touching face, they love to touch my face. I love to touch their face. And especially Shay, she be like, I love you, mommy. And she sounds so sincere. Okay, so yeah, you can have the ice cream. I know that's what you was going for, but it's okay. Go get the ice cream out the freezer. But moments like that make the 3 a.m. feedings worth it. That's only temporary. It's only for a short period of time. The staying up half the night, the getting out the toddler bed, the dumping everything on the floor and mixing it all together, and then you got ways till they go to bed and sort it all back out. Like all of that stuff is just seasonal. It's not the entire motherhood journey, and I wouldn't trade it for none of it. I wouldn't. I
And
wouldn't.
that's why you can't compare, because you have to figure out like what works for you. Like I didn't understand people who like their kids just was up until 10, 11 o'clock at night. And then I'm like, no, but that works for you. Like they're sleeping in, like they're minding their business, like they're not all in your face. I just realized, and this is tough for me, but I need to start waking up earlier, because before my kid woke me up. Like that was my alarm clock. Like my job knew, like if my kid slept in, I'm going to be late. It never happens, but I would be late because he literally comes out of his room and wakes me up in the morning. But this last week, I've been getting up earlier and going to wake him up. And my gosh, they are so sweet in the morning. Like when you wake them up, he's like, oh, mommy, it's so bright in here. I just want a hug. I wanted this. And I'm like, bro, you never hug me. Like you never hug me in the mornings. Like, what is this? You want to cuddle? I want to go to your room. And he's like all sleepy, and I'm like shoving clothes on him while he's still half asleep. I'm like, this is great. This is way better than what I was doing before. But, and some people might be like, that's crazy. Why did you, he's only been awake for 5 minutes and you're already in the car. That's what worked for us. That's what worked for us, because he has too much energy in the mornings and I'm getting ready and he's getting ready. And so you just have to figure out what works for you and not think about other people, because you have to be sane enough to raise that kid. I'm a single mom. I have to be okay. I can't sit and cry in a corner for 30 minutes because he's going to need something within that 30-minute time span. So I have to be okay.
I love it. I love it. Let them sleep to the very last minute. Because if I can tiptoe around the house and make sure everything is, if I can put stuff in the car, if I can get even their shoes in the car, everything that they're going to need, and wake them up in just enough time, put their clothes on, brush their teeth, and put them in the car, I'm going to do that. I'm sorry. We don't have to have a whole morning routine. That is my routine, ma'am. We going to get everything out in the house. But my husband's like, listen, okay, so I'm gonna take this out and put the shoe. Just don't even worry about putting their shoes on. Don't even put their socks on. Just start the car in the garage. Open the garage. Let it be warming up. We just go put them in there, half sleep, and get to going where we get. If that works for you.
I had the car table trays on his like 3-year-old birthday list. My mom's like, that's ghetto. You're not supposed to put stuff like that on his list, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, look, we need this because I can't think of the last time he ate breakfast in the house. We ate breakfast in the car. And he was talking about, oh, I dropped it. And now it's French toast on the floor. So now we got the little table. It got his set up, right? And I'm like, that's what works for us. Like older people, like who were invited, were looking at the list like a car table tray. Like, what is that? Look, you don't understand.
Yeah, we had them mornings. Cereal bar, milk, and an apple on the way to daycare or school or wherever. Yeah, we didn't have time to sit at breakfast before we left the house.
Oh,
We getting up just in time to get up out of the house.
That's my morning. Saturdays and Sundays is when we sit down and we do a whole thing. But every morning we wake up and his fruits are always in the car in a Ziploc bag. But we drink milk at home, so you gotta do one last potty before we get on the road.
Yep.
And I'm not even ashamed about it. Like,
Well,
I
they
gotta
get
go
a
back to work. Gotta
they
go
get
work.
breakfast. They get a good breakfast at daycare. They get a real
So,
breakfast, so they are good.
That's why I told Gerard I don't know what Rory gonna do when it's time for her to go to school, because that girl gets hot breakfast every day, just about. I don't know what she gonna do come September, August or September. She's gonna be distraught.
Well, school sell hot breakfast too.
But that ain't mama breakfast.
But it ain't mama.
Sure ain't.
I go
Sure
say
ain't.
that ain't mother's breakfast.
That ain't mama spinach pancakes.
Pancakes. It
Mm-mm.
ain't.
Right.
No.
Right.
And I'm gonna
Poor
tell y'all a
thing.
hack that I found out because in my truck, I don't have the wonderfulness like my husband has, but in my truck, I take the tablets with the bottom, you know, the little thing, the stand that comes out. You put that stand piece under the headrest and put the headrest down, it stay up there just like it do if you had a TV built into the head of your car.
Oh wow.
And I'm gonna tell you it worked because mine will keep fast forwarding and mess around and come out of what they watching. Then they yelling.
And now you gotta pull over because they
now
yelling.
you gotta pull over and try to get back to if they can't reach it. I pull that thing out, slide it up under their headrest, close their headrest. They can't reach it. They gotta watch what they watching till we get where we getting. It's a mom hack. I'm just gonna tell y'all. It's cheaper than having TVs installed in your car. Just saying, it's a hack. Y'all better use it because mine love it. Yeah, Angie, I think that we all want to sit back and watch this journey because Mama has been spoiled. She get the hot food. She gets one-on-one time with one parent exclusive.
I think it's gonna be I think
day.
it's gonna be a struggle for everybody though, honestly. I really do. I really think it's gonna be a struggle for everybody. But when we just gotta do it.
But you think it's gonna be more of a struggle for you and him than it is for her?
Yeah, that's why I say it's gonna be a struggle for everybody because she randomly talks now. She'll tell us a story about when she went to school. Girl, you ain't been in nobody's school. You've been in this house. What you even talking about? Yeah, because the other day when I went to school and the little girl said that, you ain't in school. So I think and we actually had this conversation today. This is funny that, we need to, get our ducks in a row and figure out what we're going to do because she needs to. And I think she kind of wants to, but she doesn't know she wants to. So just trying to navigate all of that because that's going to be a huge adjustment because we're getting ready to be 4 next week, and she's been home since birth.
So we're gonna do for you like we were prepared to do for Sheena. Because remember, Sheena had it all set up when she dropped him off for that first day daycare. She took off work. She was like ready for it to all go downhill. And we was like, if you need us to meet you and have breakfast.
And I got something else.
Or
you could do a whole bunch of play dates with all of us before school starts. So she's around. She could do individuals or group ones where she's with outside of the house. Well, I'll say outside of your house, right? So she's with everybody and, more than one.
And I think that's why I stick to us going to church now because there's a lot of kids at church. So I know at least once a week she gets that interaction. And then we have Sunday dinners with family. So she's getting that interaction with a 6-year-old every Sunday. So that's been good. I think what's going to be helpful for us is situations where she's dropped off and we're not there. That's where we've done it a couple of times, but we need to do more of that where she's with Don phone breaking up, y'all. Don phone is breaking up. I can't hear nothing but static from Don.
And I'm saying you can drop her off over here.
I'm just saying, Miss Whipper, the twins, we like them.
The way to go.
Melissa, you act like you live around the corner.
It doesn't matter, Angie. We said we
Dawn
would
around
meet
the
you.
corner.
We were gonna meet you.
I'm around the corner.
Yeah, I'm just messing with you. But yeah, that's what we got. We have to do that. That's what we need to. Because I think she got the interaction piece. It's the getting away piece. And I think we got some other Daniel the Tiger watchers, but she does but you coming back because grown-ups come back, right? Grown-ups come back. I'm like, yes, Rory, I'm coming back. Like I'm not gonna leave you here. I'm coming back. And like
what I will say, that her first week of school, y'all might end up having to sit outside of the school so she knows that you're there, because that's going to be a huge adjustment for her.
Mm-hmm.
So just, you and Gerard, y'all prepare for that, because she's
Oh,
gonna need to know that you're there. Like, so y'all might be,
Yeah.
it's just probably what, like a half a day, right? So if she knows
Yeah.
outside, like she might be okay. Like, we can get to you whenever
Yeah,
you
that's gonna
right
be a
here.
vacation week. That's gonna be a work remote week. And not to mention, prayerfully, this is a Tuesday conversation. Prayerfully, she gets into her boundary school that we get off the wait list and get in there, because it's walking distance from the house. So that's our hope. Well, that's my hope and prayer, that she gets there, because her dad will probably still be home for a while, because he has to adjust to a daytime, so yeah, so that's yeah.
she gonna bust up in school and surprise you, be like, bye, mommy. Like that
No, I
first
really,
day.
I really think so.
Yeah.
I really truly believe that for Rory. I think the struggle is going to be more so me. Her daddy ready. We know that already. I think it's and I'm gonna say this, but I also know that I'm not going to commit to what I'm about to say. But because I've already adjusted to the leaving her at home and me going to work, like I've been doing that. I'm good. I don't think about having to check in. And it could also be because she's with her dad, but I don't do the whole send me pictures. Now, I did it in the beginning. He had to send me pictures. We FaceTime. We did all the things in the beginning, but now it's just like, oh, okay, she keep her panties dry. All right, we good. All right, y'all have a good day. Enjoy the rest of the day. Call me if you need me. Like, that's how it is now. But leaving and knowing that she's not here and she's somewhere else under people that we have no idea who, what, why, where, and when, that'll probably be an adjustment, I'm
You
sure.
gonna
So
get
not to scare you, but you also should consider her first week or so, she's now being exposed to new
Oh
germs.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Because we all went
Oh
through
yeah.
it when our kids first started daycare, and this
Oh
is
yeah.
her first. Okay,
Mhm.
so you got to
Yeah.
be ready for that.
Yeah.
Angie gonna get a Shayla. She gonna get bye, mommy, and close the door. And
No, I
Angie gonna
really
be
feel like
Angie
that.
gonna be standing outside the door like, oh, did she just tell me bye?
I really truly feel like that's what's gonna happen. I really believe it, because she's already at that stage where she's gained her sense of independence. She's like the way she carries herself, even when we're at church. Sometimes she'll take off running with the kids, whereas before in the beginning, you would see her looking around and looking back for me. Now, homegirl be gone. Don't be thinking about me. I have to go find my child. So, I think she'll thrive and be fine. It's gonna be me like,
You'll thrive and be fine too. It's okay. It's okay. And as for as much as her daddy knows she ready, he gonna have to be okay because
yeah.
it's like somebody come get the baby while I take a nap. Then as soon as
Mm-hmm.
you go lay down in the other room, you ready to get up and go get them because you miss them. It's okay.
Yep.
All right, y'all. It is 10:02. We are going to say goodnight to everyone that is watching. I appreciate and those that do the follow-up watch, I appreciate you as well. You will see this on the rewind. Be mindful that we will be here next week, but the following week will be a rewind session, so we won't actually be in person. We're going to re-air the show with Dr. Wortham when she was on, who, by the way, has just released her new book. It's amazing. I'm gonna make sure that I share it on our next Winedown Wednesday because she is Black history. I'm just saying. We talking about Black history. We ain't gotta go back to 1942 to find some role models for our babies. We have some presently, and next week I do want to share with you, in addition to our just our random conversations. It is our Black History episode, and we are going to spotlight some of the moms that we actually have in our group that are doing some really aspiring things that our kids can aspire to, right? So they don't have to go back to the first person that ever made a perm or a hot comb or all of that kind of stuff to find Black history role models, right? So I want to make sure that our kids have someone right now that they can look up to going forward into the rest of their lives. So thank you so much for watching. We are going to say good night to you all. And then, of course, ladies, we will stay on to say good night to each other. And we will see you back here next week at 9 o'clock. And we look forward to seeing you. Good night.